length of her detention is going to be determined by however long it takes to cut a deal between those two countries.
TJ Quinn on Barton Hahn. Griner pleaded guilty 4 weeks ago, but her attorneys are expected to appeal. Arizona Cardinals tight end Max Williams is now cleared to practice with the team. He tore an ACL in Week 5 last year against the 49ers. Auburn quarterback TJ Finley is charged today with attempting to elude police. The Tigers are scheduled to open preseason practice tomorrow. Major League Baseball will get back to London next year. The Cubs and Cardinals will play a 2-game series at London Stadium in June.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Tigers hit the practice field for the first time today. Fall camp number 1 under Brian Kelly gets started. Shea Dixon will be with us here in hour number 3. Ross Dellenger next hour. Talk some NIL with Jeremy Crabtree of On 3 Sports in about 15 minutes. Saints have been at it. They're in week 2 of training camp. Our friend Maddy Hudak is going to be handling our camp reports moving forward throughout the remainder of Saints camp. And we lead the show with her today. Maddy, we appreciate it. How are you?
I'm good. My internal body temperature is just winding down from today's practice.
How long were you out there?
Well, I do two-lane in the morning, so from about 7:30 to noon, I was in the Louisiana blanket of heat.
A little different than the Bay Area where you were for the past couple of weeks, I would imagine.
Most definitely. My tolerance is back to about a 0 on that. So I will be ramping up with the players.
Hey, I think maybe one of the biggest storylines today seemed to be that Taysom Hill was back at practice. We know he had took a shot in the ribs, missed a little bit. What can you update us on with Taysom?
Yeah, so that was kind of the first time people had seen him. He was out there in just general workout clothes. He looked like he was working on some cuts and footwork drills with possibly one of the tight end trainers and kind of going through reps verbally and talking about those cuts. He was out there for about 20 minutes or so and then went in and changed. But he, looked strong. He wasn't necessarily hitting anyone with his ribs, but his footwork looked sharp.
Who did Trevor Penning beat up today?
He actually, there were a couple plays where the linebacking blitz kind of got the best of him.
Okay.
He did allow kind of 2 back-to-back plays by Caden Ellis and Pete Werner, who was blitzing quite a bit today on his inside shoulder, but at one point, he did shove Pete Werner to the ground. I'm pretty sure the same thing with Peyton Turner. He's just a big presence there. But it did seem like it was, I haven't seen the scuffles from the last couple of days, if you will, but it did definitely seem to be more reined in today.
It's interesting, Maddy, because we have focused so much on just sort of the mentality, right? The finishing blocks and all that stuff. We haven't talked tremendously about, like, how he's actually performing against NFL defenders. So can you elaborate a little on, small sample, I get it, but just on what you were able to observe today?
Yeah, he just looks dominant, and you put it well. He took a lot more first-team reps today,
Okay.
And Peyton Turner is a big guy just as much as Trevor Penning is a big guy, and we kind of saw Peyton Turner maul that side of the Fields kind of in training camp last year, he really stood out. So the fact that he's able to kind of rein in, what is a formidable pass rush when healthy with the Saints, he's definitely gone toe-to-toe thus far. It's not as if he sticks out or anything like that. It looks like his bend is pretty good. I know they're kind of working on his technique, but it is kind of hard to instill that drive and physicality mentality in a player. And to me, it's easier to teach the technique after the fact than it is to teach a mentality that isn't really there. And so the fact that he is, playing through the whistle, it could be a little problematic at times, but you're right in that he is really going to toe with NFL starting linemen pretty well.
I mean, you'd much rather have to say, hey, big guy, rein it in instead of, hey, let's go light a fire under this guy. I mean, absolutely. Maddy Hudak is with us, Saints training camp report. One more on the offensive side, then I want to flip to the defense. The Saints, and I'm sorry I didn't prep you on this, but the Saints added tight end Chris Herndon. Do you know if he was even out there practicing today? Any observations there?
Yeah, he was. I unfortunately didn't catch much of him because Juwan Johnson kind of had a standout day at tight end. He really drew quite a bit of attention. So I know Chris Herndon was out there, but him and Trotman did kind of stick out today in reps, and both, Dennis Allen mentioned both of them in his post-camp remarks about them both having really strong days today. But Juwan Johnson, he looks kind of like a half tight end, half wide receiver, but he definitely looks more the part this year. And I think having that year of transition under his belt, it's kind of a position group that is a huge question mark just because, Adam Trotman, I didn't think he did as bad as other people might have said last year. Granted, what his responsibilities were probably, envisioned to be coming out of Dayton the year prior and effectively turning into one of the top looks on the offense. But adding in the fact that Taysom Hill is going to add to that group, they certainly did look like a stronger unit today.
You mentioned Dennis Allen praised those two tight ends. Anything else of interest from Dennis Allen today in his comments?
I think just for lack of a better term, not so much his comments, but to me what stuck out was this sense of normalcy really continued on. Last year was my first training camp. It was the Saints' first without Drew Brees. You couldn't kind of tell, but the fact that, they've moved on, they've gone forward with Winston, they have Dennis Allen in the building, everything really does seem just kind of like it's getting back to his parameters. I would say the only thing that stuck out would be, his comments about C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and not so much about, his contract situation, but more about what that's kind of allowed that group to do.
Well, let's go there next then, because I did want to go to the secondary. She's on Twitter, by the way, at Maddy Hudak _94. Give her a follow. I am going to ask you, though, about the contract situation, because he's not holding out, right? But he's limiting what he's doing. What can you elaborate on there with what Chauncey's doing?
Yeah, so he's present. He goes through the warm-up drills. They started inside and then moved outside. He went through the stretches with them. And then he kind of just takes his helmet off and hangs out with his position group. He's out there. He's certainly, his usual energy is there, and just kind of standing there being encouraging, but not really participating in any, one-on-one or 7-on-7 drills at this point.
Look, I don't imagine, Maddy, that I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but with a guy that's as proven as he is, I don't know that he's missing much. But is there any progress, or do you expect any progress on a contract with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson before the season?
Yeah, so the Saints have, been kind of known to award those, kind of players that are looking for a deserved extension. You look at the past couple seasons, Ryan Ramczyk and Michael Thomas, they extended their contracts in July, and then the season before last, it was Alvin Kamara and Demario Davis, and then it was Marshawn Lattimore, mid-August last year. So I don't think it's something that they've shown willingness to kind of work on. And, Bradley Roby kind of talked about, the evolution of slot corner and just, going from kind of Chris Harris to what it is now. It's not so much just, the least good defensive back on your team. It really is a specific skill set. The thing I would say is a benefit, and this was kind of what I was alluding to with Dennis Allen's comments, is he said it has given, other guys a chance to kind of prove themselves. And that really every year, every player has to kind of reprove themselves in a way. But you saw Lante Taylor getting some action in the slot, Bradley Roby quite a bit, and even Paulson Adebo in some disguised looks throughout the day. So certainly not the worst thing at this point. You brought up that C.J. Gardner-Johnson's a pretty well-established veteran. I don't think him working back into the lineup will be as much of a transition for him. But I am at this point agreeing with Alan that it really has given those really talented defensive backs in that room kind of more of a chance to shine and see where they could fit in this very versatile secondary at this point.
You mentioned Adebo. He has been, by everyone's account, the standout so far. What were your observations?
He stands out immediately in his stature. He just is a very big defensive back, and it shows in his ability to play physical. But I remember last year at training camp seeing him kind of going off to the side on his own and going over some footwork. And I had spoken with his trainer that worked with him, throughout high school and college and into getting drafted. And that was really what they honed in on, was footwork and how that first false step can make a difference. And, Olave has kind of come on as this guy running really sharp slant routes, and, Adebo's change of direction, his ability to anticipate, his acceleration and ability to remain in phase and play through the play. He had a really good pass breakup against Olave, where Olave did catch it in the end zone, but he played through it and it just shows really good fight. He, Bradley Roby mentioned how much he really wants to learn, how much of a good listener he is, and how humble he is. And you can really see that. He does his play, kind of reminds me almost of Patrick Willis, where he would just go on to the next play and not really, celebrate much about it. But he just seems like he has the cerebral abilities, and then the physical is just really hard to ignore. So he, I was still getting acclimated with who's in what position group, what's going on here, and every 2 seconds my attention was pulled over to Paulson Adebo making a great play. He played a little bit at safety at some point today. It just seems like he's made a really astonishing leap, considering him coming from being a third-round draft pick out of the Pac-12 last year that didn't play in 2020.
The Stanford kid has cerebral on the field. Stunning to find that happen. When you match that with the physical ability, there's no denying it. Maddy Hudak doing the honors here, giving us a Saints camp report. Maddy, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow, okay?
Sounds good.
Our pleasure. She's on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94. Give her a follow. Great stuff there. I'm going to move quickly because I got a small window to get Jeremy Crabtree in here from On3 Sports. If you haven't seen it, they have a great piece up right now ranking the top 20 collectives, NIL collectives so far. This is going to be fascinating. I'm looking forward to this conversation next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air. Maddy was just talking about the triple-digit heat, becoming acclimated. The last thing in the world you want is to get stuck with no AC. Don't do it. Call River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001. I was doing morning scone today, sitting in my office at my home, looking outside the window, and a big River City's 1 hour air van made the turn right by my house. I'm telling you, you'll see them at your neighbor's house. You'll see them in your neighborhood. You'll see them on the main streets in Baton Rouge. The big yellow vans and trucks. You'll notice how many of your friends and neighbors trust River City's 1 hour air because they've been around for 40 years in Baton Rouge, doing a great job. Remember, they're always on time or you don't pay a dime, and nights, holidays, weekends. It's so important to remember. Your AC goes out on a Saturday. You can't wait till Monday. Call River City's 1 hour air. They're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected.
supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only...
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
It is impossible to have a conversation about college football without in some way mentioning NIL. Our friends at On3 Sports, I thought, did a really good job. They have put together a report of, as they termed it, the top 10 or top 20 most ambitious NIL collectives, essentially ranking the collectives as of now. Jeremy Crabtree is part of that staff report. He's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Jeremy, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
I'm well. I'm doing well.
We appreciate the time. I looked at the list and read through it. Phenomenal job, by the way. There were some things that jumped off the page at me. What maybe was most surprising or most interesting to you compiling this list?
Well, a couple things. I think you have a group that maybe the top 7 or so that have separated themselves from the other, whether we're talking the group at Tennessee, the Spire Sports, John Ruiz at Miami. Again, we can have a conversation whether or not he's a directive or a collective. The Fund at A&M, Division III to Oregon, Gator Collective at Florida. There's a group that I think have separated themselves, but there's also a group below that, whether it's at Texas Tech, whether it's at Alabama, Michigan, Indiana, even at smaller schools, group of 5 schools like SMU, who are being very forward-thinking and finding new creative ways to get NIL moving forward that I think are going to really shape what happens in year 2 of NIL.
Yeah, it's not just, in the way you put it together, it's not just like who has the most funding, but also in the way in which that things are being funded. Who, like Texas Tech being 8th on this list is kind of stunning to me, right? Because it's kind of the thing where you say, all right, well, there's a program that maybe isn't considered one of the haves, but maybe they will be. What is the more creative way that you've seen one of these collectives go about trying to generate NIL revenue?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with one of them, with Texas Tech, in the way that they provided $25,000 to 100 players on their football roster, even guys that are not on scholarship. They picked their top 15 walk-ons to also be included in this $25,000 stipend. So you do the math there. That's a lot of money going to some players. So that jumped out to me. But also you see ways where a lot of these collectives are creating their own content, so to speak. They're becoming content creators with the players that sign NIL agreements with them. And you see it at Georgia with the Classic Street Collective, at Garnett Trust in South Carolina, where they created essentially their own in-house media entity and they're bringing in players of all the different sports and creating their own content and disseminating it to players, to their fan bases. It's very much a traditional media type approach, but putting it behind a paywall, it's a fascinating thing, and I think that's going to become even more common moving forward.
And Jeremy Crabtree is with us on 3 Sports. LSU's not on this list, the top 20. They've been one of the top 10 or top 5 programs, certainly the last 20 years. What is the perception of LSU in the NIL space?
A little bit behind, and I think just because we see so many collectives out there, whether it's Florida with the Gator Collective, or John Ruiz at Miami, or other places that are very forward-thinking and forward-facing. They're out there trying to find media attention and draw more eyeballs to their collectives and to the deals they're doing. There are groups behind the scenes that are doing good work, but we just don't know about it because they're keeping it quiet. I mean, the Texas A&M is a great example. They have a thing called the Fund. We have zero clue who's involved in it. We've got some suspicions, and we don't know what types of deals and who they're doing deals with, but they're doing deals and they're making an impact. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing behind the scenes is LSU a little bit. There has to be groups of people that are involved from an NIL standpoint. They're just preferring to do it a little bit quieter instead of thumping their chest like some of the other collectives are doing.
Jeremy, what if a program doesn't have a John Ruiz, the guy that's willing to commit large portions of his or her personal wealth to a collective? What are some of the things that you're seeing that is replicable almost anywhere as far as strategies to grow an NIL fund for a collective, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, you're going to have somebody or some bodies to step up. I mean, I think the way we need to kind of look at it is more like how Ryan Day put it out in public, that to keep the players that matter and to help. And entice is not the word I want to use because that's not. Most of these collectors are doing a great job. Are not doing the pay for play on the recruiting trail and enticing kids to come for NIL deals. It's more about once you get these kids on campus, what is it going to take to keep them from hopping in the transfer portal, or rewarding them for doing the good work that they do in their community. So it's going to take a salary cap type situation where you're going to have to raise millions of dollars. Ryan Day's put $13 million out a couple of weeks ago. Jim Harbaugh said, well, you know what, that might be a little bit low. So I think it's going to take somebody or some buddies to continue to fund these, whether they're collectives or directives later on down the road, that can help these programs get the talent and keep the talent on campus.
Do you think we ever hit a point where the market corrects? You mentioned Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
That's $2.5 million that Texas Tech put into this roster. Do we hit a point where there's a market correction?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because we're already hearing it from athletic department officials across the country that a booster's telling me, well, I already donated money to support your program. I can't give you more money to help build a new facility or the new locker room that you guys need. I already gave all that. I gave that money to the collective. There's going to be a point where yes, that's going to happen, or we're going to see boosters who spend all this money and their programs don't succeed. And it's going to come. It's going to be a correction, but also keep in mind, not everybody is making massive amounts of money. Everybody wants to talk about the potential money that the $8 million potential deal that was signed by a 5-star going to Tennessee, or what we reported on with Jaden Rashada potentially going to Miami over Florida, and other deals out there. Most of these deals are still in the less than in the thousands of dollars, not the $25,000 range.
It is a really well done piece, kind of putting some type of definition to what's happening right now in the NIL space. It's at On3 Sports. I retweeted the link. You can go see it there. It's on Jeremy's Twitter at Jeremy Crabtree. Go to On3 as well, and you can see it right there. The 20 most ambitious NIL collectives. It's really, really well done. Jeremy, we appreciate a couple of minutes today, man. Thanks so much. Job well done. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
That's our pleasure. Jeremy Crabtree. Let me react to that in a second. I want to remind you about the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. Eye care, eyewear, eye surgery. Remember, all this month, if you are looking ahead to the start of school, the Williamson Eye Center gets you those eye exams for the whole family, and it's buy one, get one 50% off on glasses. So, because I tell you about refractive surgery all the time, but if you wear contacts or glasses right now at the Williamson Eye Center, go get that eye exam, you buy a pair of glasses, get your second pair 50% off all this month at the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020. That's 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. So when I looked at this piece, and thanks, Jeremy was very, very kind. I just noticed it. It published earlier today. I noticed it really in the last maybe 90 minutes or so. Shot him a quick note. He said, I got a small window from like 3:15 to 3:25. So I was like, yes, I'll take it. Thank you. The thing that stands out so much when I look at this list of the top collectives is, yes, I mean, absolutely. Look, there's dollar amounts on there that are kind of impressive in how they're doing it in some of these places. But then there's other like ways in which some of these NIL collectives are raising money. For example, Arizona has, like Andre Agassi has donated there. They've also, through NIL deals, provided laptops to the football team. They've supported local charities. They've sponsored youth camps. Some of them have set up to where one of them has even, I'm searching for it very quickly to see if I can find it. One of them has already received 501c3 nonprofit status. Forgive me, I'm trying to find which one it was off the top. My apologies, I can't seem to find it right now. But one of them already has 501c3 nonprofit status, so they're able to raise money, and you can get tax deductions for donations as well. It's just interesting because not everybody has the opportunity to tap into a Phil Knight or a John Ruiz or just a billionaire booster who's willing to just throw millions annually into a fund. And so they've had to get creative. And I think that does underscore maybe where LSU is a little bit behind. And in part, I want to be clear, it's not a knock. It's in part it was state law didn't allow for a collective until it was just altered in this session. So in many respects, all of these creative things that a lot of places are doing, Louisiana schools were not able to do legally until now. So that's part of it. And then, yes, of course, I mean, mobilizing your wealthy donors who are willing to put money. But I'll maintain, it can't possibly be a bottomless pit. Eventually that market will correct. The Spire Sports Group at Tennessee, they're aiming to generate $25 million annually. That's their goal. John Ruiz at Miami, we know he's a billionaire who's already committed tens of millions of dollars of his own money. The fund at Texas A&M, we talked about a little bit there. Obviously, Phil Knight at Oregon is leading their collective. They're fourth. I mean, I told y'all, one of the reasons to be concerned about Billy Napier at Florida is the fact that he has mobilized their collective in earnest. They're fifth on this list. I mean, that's the problem if you're LSU and you fall behind. I mean, you look at this list and you see Tennessee at 1, A&M at 3, Florida at 5, Alabama at 10, Georgia 11, Kentucky at 15, South Carolina at 16. I mean, you're nowhere on the list, and schools you compete against, and it's already an uphill climb against some of these programs. And then you see the Tennessees and the Texas A&Ms and South Carolina and Kentucky, mobilizing the way they have, and you realize, man, some of the programs that stand to benefit most from NIL are the ones that aren't right now in the forefront, but can essentially buy their way up the ladder. That's always what's been the most interesting to me with NIL is what program. It's not the haves. Like, we know the programs that are in the upper echelon of college football, that's not going to change. But the programs that are maybe a tick below that can basically fund their way up the ladder through NIL deals. And this is a great sort of illustration of who that might be. Texas Tech, 8th on this list. Texas Tech is a great example of it. Every player at Texas Tech got $25,000. It's 100 players got $25,000. That's $2.5 million. I mean, yeah, you can put together a nice roster if you guarantee every player $25,000 a year on top of tuition and everything else they have. So I'll be interested to see in short order as LSU gets its programs rolling how much they're able to climb on a list like that. So thanks to Jeremy Crabtree. Good stuff. We appreciate it. Okay, quick break. We'll come back, go around the SEC. Ross Dellenger in about 30 minutes from right now to start hour number 2. A lot going on, including Tommy Tuberville, Senator Tuberville, trying to put some NIL guardrails up in Congress. We'll talk about it with Delly, and then actually some football stuff as well. And Shea Dixon will have a camp report for us in hour number 3 from LSU as the Tigers hit the practice field here in about 45 minutes from right now. We're glad you're with us. It's AFR.
AFR.
Y'all, everybody feels the pain nowadays. Inflation is a very real thing. You feel it at the pump. You feel it at the grocery store. You feel it when you go out to eat. It's real. Everything costs more. So how do you give yourself a break financially? You either find a way to make more money or you find a way to save money. That's Insurance Network of Louisiana. Insurance Network of Louisiana, it could not be easier, y'all. They shop independently for free to see if they can find you better coverage for less money. It's the easiest way that I can say it. Over the years, I've told you of hundreds, literally hundreds of AFR listeners that have called Insurance Network of Louisiana, that have let them shop independently for free, and that have saved money and been better insured, thanks to our friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana. Give them a shout right now. They're there waiting to take your call today. 293-0450, 293-0450, or lainsurance.net. No matter who your present coverage is with, get better coverage for less money. 293-0450.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Vizzy, the first hard seltzer with antioxidant vitamin C. It just hits different.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
So last night, T-Bob and I are doing Scone and Tea, and he did what he always does. I mean, Muse produces the show on site. If you're not familiar, it's a podcast T-Bob and I started last year. During football season, we did it twice a week. We would do a weekend recap on Monday and then a preview on Thursday. And then I don't need to bore you with all the details how it worked out, but ultimately we ended up signing a contract with the guys over at Oliver Twist for 2 years to do Scone and Tea on remote there Wednesday nights. And every week, T-Bob says, it's just T-Bob, right? I mean, every week he says something stupid. I mean, just off color. And just it's T-Bob. It's just...
Sometimes multiple times in the
right.
hour.
It's just what he does. And every week, because I'm just an insane workaholic, I leave that show and, like, I leave this show every day. And I go and I start, like, clipping videos for all repurposed social media, everything I do. And I clip last night T-Bob making an off-color remark about 17-year-old juice, which is the barrel pick last night, or excuse me, the break-even pick last night. The break-even bottle was a 17-year-old whiskey, was age stated, and so T-Bob, as you might imagine, made an off-color remark about what you could do when something's legal in 18. Anyway, which naturally I just stared at him and didn't react, and he did what he does, and we did our whole our shtick, which is me and him. I clip it, I post it. The damn thing's over 700,000 views right now on TikTok. I mean, if you could explain virality, I guess like everybody would do everything that goes viral all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just so bizarre to me how I post a weird T-Bob video every week. And that, just that the interaction with he and I, with the two of us every week.
Is this the most successful one you've had?
Yeah, the Archie Manning one.
That was a good one.
Got about 180,000 views.
Okay, wow.
The most successful TikTok that I've ever done was when I did the Christine Brennan rant during COVID. I don't know if you were working here.
I was on. Yep.
You were here, or was that Brain?
I was here for that, I'm pretty sure.
So anyway, I clipped the part of the Christine Brennan rant back during COVID, and that got about 250,000 views on it. I mean, TikTok's interesting because, and look, while a lot of people here laughed at TikTok, I mean, I've been posting content there for 3 years because every platform is basically just a content platform that ages up. Facebook used to be a social network. Instagram used to be just for photographers. LinkedIn used to be just a job board. I mean, eventually, when you get enough users, it just becomes a content platform that ages up. So like TikTok was Musical.ly, and it was where people do dances and stuff like that, but it was never just going to be that. But you have great opportunity for organic reach on new platforms. Anyway, I don't know if you care about that. It doesn't really matter. But, so I've been posting there for a while. It's just so bizarre how things ultimately just catch fire and go. But if you want to go see the video, it's there on my TikTok. Follow me on TikTok. I posted on my Instagram as well.
I was about to say, how many total views do you have? Like Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter?
I did it as an Instagram reel. You follow my if you're not on TikTok, you want to follow my Instagram. It's just Matt Moscona, Moscona. I always say, if you can spell my name, if you get all the vowels right, you can find me anywhere on the internet. If you can
there's not another Matt Moscona out there that's taking your name on social media.
And really, it's just if you can get the vowels.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there really is to it. I mean, too many of them. So, like, the reel right now has 5,500 views on the reel. So, they're not tremendous or anything like that.
Just TikTok is, I don't know if you add them all together, though.
I will be just fascinated to see if that thing hits 1 million. If it ever like slows or if it keeps going. But I mean, it's been like 15 hours since 750,000 views. This is so stupid. Just because T-Bob said he wanted to fornicate with whiskey.
I was just about to say that. You took the word right out of my mouth.
I mean, whatever. Anyway, if you want to go, it's there. It would actually be really funny it would be cool to see it get over 1 million views. So if you want to go hit the like button, TikTok, it's there. Go see it. Okay, let's go around the SEC. I was gonna tease something. Who cares? Just go.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Auburn Tigers.
Will former LSU and now Auburn quarterback TJ Finley was arrested. Unfortunate. TJ Finley has been arrested. He was charged with attempting to elude a police officer by the Auburn Police Division. He was held and then released on $1,000 bond. Turned himself into the Lee County Sheriff's Office on Thursday. He was quickly released. Auburn starts practice tomorrow on Friday. I would assume TJ Finley will be there, but Brian Harsin will meet with the media later Thursday evening.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas is set to start fall camp on Friday as well, and Sam Pittman detailed quite a number of injuries there, including junior running back Dominique Johnson suffered a knee injury in the Outback Bowl against Penn State, did not participate in spring. He's expected to miss at least the season opener against Cincinnati. Super senior right tackle Dalton Wagner, he missed spring with a back issue. It's still not right. Junior defensive tackle Torian Carter was injured in spring. He's definitely going to miss the start of the season. Sophomore Landon Jackson, the LSU transfer, of course, who had a torn ACL. He missed spring, but he is a full go now.
The Texas A&M Aggies.
Jimbo Fisher has announced former defensive end Donnell Harris. He's done with football due to an injury, so he'll take a medical retirement. Of course, you probably know that a medical retirement allows the student athlete to finish, to stay on scholarship to finish school, but they can stay with the team but cannot play or practice, and they do not count against the 85-man scholarship limit. Harris was a four-star prospect in the 2020 class. He was originally a member of the 2021 class, but reclassified to 2020. He was a top 50 player in the country, 6'3", 220, played just 2 games as a freshman, 3 as a sophomore, but now his football career is over.
The Florida Gators.
And one of the 3 players that Florida chose to part ways with in June, redshirt freshman defensive lineman Christopher Thomas, he's back on the Florida roster. Back on June 22nd, Florida parted ways with 3 players. Thomas, safety Mordecai McDaniel, and receiver Fenley Graham. An NCAA bylaws allows a first-year head coach to not invite a scholarship athlete back to the team. They are allowed to stay enrolled in school on scholarship if they like, but they're essentially just cut from the team if a new coach comes in. These 3 players were cut, but apparently Christopher Thomas is now back. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends Gulf Coast Office Products. Online at gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. That's what you get at Gulf Coast Office Products. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, the North Shore, and in Lafayette. It's Gulf Coast Office Products, gcopnet.com. Hey, by the way, thanks to Maddy Hudak, who was with us to start the show today. She's going to be doing our Saints camp reports for us each day. And I got a tweet from Anthony Lama, who said, Matt, is it Maddy with a D or Maddy with a T? And is it Hudak or Hudak? And he basically misspelled all of it. It's MADDYHUDAK, Maddy Hudak. So on Twitter, at Maddy Hudak _94. If you want to go give Maddy a follow, she does an awesome job. So we're glad to have her aboard with us here. She does. She writes for Saints Wire, covers Tulane as well as the Saints. She'll be doing our camp reports for us the rest of camp. So we're glad to have Maddy aboard on the team here. All right, Delhi in 15 minutes from right now. Let me knock out a quick break. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Seagan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Beautiful flowers. You know, a lot of the big box stores, they put flowers and plants on box trucks in other states where they grow them and then ship them into Baton Rouge or Louisiana, wherever you are. Not Clegg's. Clegg's is local. So when they grow these flowers and plants, etc., they're grown here. So they're acclimated to Louisiana, which means they're going to last longer and thrive more so than something you might buy at a big box store. So I always encourage you, bypass the big box store. Support local businesses that have been in our community for decades, like Clegg's Nursery. Not only do they have full greenhouses, but they're partnered with True Value Hardware Store, so whatever you'd find at a True Value Hardware Store, you'll also find at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local, tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off new Ford F-150s. We have new 2021 F-150s on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that...
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Musso, you're a baseball fan, right?
Huge.
How many strikes do you get before you're called out?
Oh, that'd be 3.
Then why did Yordan Alvarez get 4 yesterday?
Yeah, I don't really have a great answer for that other than somebody probably wearing gray slacks, a black shirt, a mask, a chest protector, who's responsible for that kind of thing fell asleep behind the plate.
Absolutely. If you missed this, so Yordan Alvarez is batting against Rich Hill. So the Red Sox were playing in Houston yesterday. Ball one, called first strike on the second pitch. Then Yordan Alvarez fouls off a pitch. So it's a 1-2 count at this point. It is stunning to me what transpired next, because you're talking about a veteran pitcher in Rich Hill. You're talking about one of the game's best players right now in Yordan Alvarez. You've got two very good managers. Dusty Baker's been around forever. How in the world did nobody see what transpired? Which is the fact that Yordan Alvarez struck out looking and just didn't leave the box, and he got another pitch.
Do you think Yordan didn't even notice? Or do you think he was like, let's see if I can get away with this?
So the ump didn't ring him up.
No, he just
called a strike. So
without hesitation, too.
I mean, it was so bizarre to see this. And not only that, but Muse, the announcers as well.
I know.
I mean, it's a 1-2 count. And that was it right there. If you're watching, it was a 1-2 count. It was a strike at the top of the zone. It's a called strike. I mean, that's strike 3. And Yordan Alvarez just stayed in the box. And then he ultimately grounded out to first. So, no harm, no foul, I guess. But that's just like an absolutely inexcusable. I mean, I say it often that all refs and umps they're all bad at their job, and they are. It's impossible to be good. But there's some things also that are just unforgivable. And that's one of those ones where you're like, okay, that gets you another step closer to robo-umps, which I'm ready for. Y'all know that I've been ready for that for a long time. When you have the technology to eliminate human error and there's so much on the line, there's no reason to allow human error to be part of a game. Like tennis has the eagle view thing where they could see if a ball was in or out. There's K-zone. I don't need an ump's own subjective strike zone. You have a K-zone. There it is. Is it a ball or is it a strike? Boom. You have the technology to do it. Do it. And this gets you one step closer. So I'm excited. It's just unbelievably that nobody raised hell. Neither manager? Why would Dusty Baker?
Yeah, Dusty Baker, right.
But Yordan, Rich Hill, the umpire, the announcers, nobody. Nobody knew.
Mm-mm. I mean, and the umpire's got the clicker in his pocket that he keeps the count on. Like,
ooh. What? That's why, again,
it's just bad.
Umpires, officials, referees, they all should have to talk to the media after games. If you're part of the game, you should have to explain your part of the game. Like, you don't get away with that scot-free. If you mess up at your job, you have to be held accountable for it, and the umpire should be. That's terrible. We will probably get back around to this. The Deshaun Watson thing. Listen, I get it. You say Deshaun Watson, and a lot of times people right now, you're just probably fed up with it. I don't blame you. The advancement now is that Roger Goodell is not going to hear the appeal, so there will be an independent. So let me get this straight. They hired an independent third-party arbiter to hear the case, who put out a ruling. The NFL didn't like the ruling, so they're not going to, except that they're going to appeal the ruling. And Roger Goodell isn't going to hear the appeal. He's going to hire an independent third-party arbiter to hear the appeal, like who just gave him the ruling. Why did you ever hire that? Like, this just feels like a charade. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way. It feels like it is a show. That's just what this feels like. It feels very disingenuous. I'll continue to say there's a lot of places where people are going to talk about the Deshaun Watson stuff and all the situation they're in. Here, there's one thing I care about. Is Deshaun Watson playing Week 16? The Saints, on Christmas Eve, Week 16, are playing in Cleveland. And if the Saints are playing Cleveland and Deshaun Watson, the outcome of that game is far less likely to be in the Saints' favor as if the Saints are playing Week 16 in Cleveland against Jacoby Brissett or whoever might be quarterbacking the Cleveland Browns at that point. So, I kind of hope Deshaun Watson is suspended for the whole season because I don't want him on the field against the Saints. Not that I know if it's fair or just or right or whatever of this whole situation, but competitively, it's the one thing that I really care about with all this is Deshaun Watson going to be on the field against the Saints in Week 16. So that is still now very much up in the air. All right, it's after further review. Thursday shows are brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. We'll knock out a quick break. Get you caught up on national headlines from SportsCenter. When we come back, Ross Dellenger is going to join us. Mr. Senator Coach Tuberville making waves. That's next.
AFR.
Michele weighing and measurement, 45 years. Nope. 75 years. I wrote down 45 because that was the second hand. 75 years in business. Michele weighing and measurement. 75 years of growth. 75 years of maintaining their local ties while continuing to expand. 75 years. Think about how many businesses come and go in the last 5 years. Michele Weighing and Measurement. They're your partner for weighing and measurement equipment since 1947. They service all scale and measurement equipment makes and models, and Michele is hiring in their New Orleans Harahan office, in their Baton Rouge office, and in their Lake Charles office. So if you're looking for a great career with a company that's been locally owned and operated for 75 years and continued to grow and maintain their stability, it's Michele Weighing and Measurement. Hit the careers tab on the homepage at michele.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hunt, and Hill, the early line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
This is SportsCenter. I'm Doug Brown. Phoenix Mercury center Brittany Griner is found guilty of drug possession and smuggling today and sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison. This verdict, though, was expected, says ESPN's TJ Quinn.
Even though it is clearly an illegitimate process, they treat it like it's real, and they want the U.S. to treat it like it's real. Now, Brittany Griner, she did that in her defense. She took it seriously, begged for the court's mercy. It didn't work.
TJ Quinn on Barton Hahn. Negotiations are ongoing between the U.S. and Russia about a possible prisoner swap involving Griner. Former NBA player Iman Shumpert was arrested Saturday for allegedly trying to bring 6 ounces of cannabis through security at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Shumpert reportedly also had a 14-round magazine in his backpack, but did not have a gun. A federal judge in New York today says she'll rule in weeks on whether NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell will get to decide the merits of racial discrimination claims made by several black coaches against the league and its teams.
If you need last-minute hires in no time, you need Indeed. Their integrated hiring solution lets you schedule and conduct video interviews all in one place. Finding your next great hire has never been more streamlined. Get hiring at Indeed.com/credit.
If you have Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt. I am sweating. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. LSU on the practice field for the first time in 13 minutes. At least that's when media availability begins. When practice ends, we will get you a practice report. Our buddy Shea Dixon will be with us in hour number 3. Right now, Ross Dellenger, Sports Illustrated, going to join us for a couple of minutes. Delly, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm just reminiscing over the practice reports in the fall camp, getting revved up, thinking about those years, those days years ago.
Well, now you're just better than all of us, aren't you, Delly? There in your ivory tower there
sure.
in D.C., right from big old Sports Illustrated. We don't have to hang out at fall camp anymore with the peons, right, Delly?
Right.
Whatever.
That's right. Instead, I find myself on the phone with senators, aides, and conference commissioners and all that. Yeah, it's so much better. Let me tell you.
The life you chose. The life you chose.
Yes. I got into this to write about football, touchdowns and field goals, man. And I'm finding myself in congressional hallways and in boring AD meetings. So it is.
And how about the cross-section of those two? With Mr. Coach Senator Tommy Tuberville making news.
Right.
Now.
How about that? How about this, Matt? I started my sports writing career covering Auburn University for the Decatur Daily in Decatur, Alabama. My first job, and the head coach was, of course, Tommy Tuberville. I covered 2007, 2008, and it's come full circle. Now my wife, a political reporter, covers Tommy Tuberville, and so too do I, apparently, still.
Oh, man. What a wild... Hey, you know what's true about this business, Delly? It feels like if you've worked one place, you've worked everywhere, and if you know someone, you know everyone. The intersections are bizarre. Okay, so Tuberville is introducing NIL legislation. Fill in the blanks on what he's pushing for here.
Well, we're not quite sure yet. It's very much at an infancy type stage. He is gathering, him and Joe Manchin, the probably the most conservative Democrat. So you could call it a bipartisan effort, but I think a lot of people would say it's a conservative effort. But they are gathering information from stakeholders, commissioners, athletic directors, coaches, players, on what an NIL bill might look like. Here's the thing. This has been done before, about a dozen times.
Yep.
Right? There's 8, just in the last 3 years, there's been about 8 bills, NIL bills introduced in Congress. Guess how many have advanced past to step 1 of the legislative process? Zero.
Zero.
Yeah, zero.
Yeah.
So we're 0 for about 8. I don't know that Tommy Tuberville and Joe Manchin's bill is going to come along and be the one to advance. I doubt it. It'll probably be very right-leaning and conservative, too much to get any kind of compromise. And then an hour later after that news yesterday, right, it was the news that the Democrats had a bill of their own, an NIL bill. This one had more concepts. Booker and Blumenthal, they reintroduced a bill that was introduced a couple years ago. And, we got more concepts on this one and more details on exactly what it will be. But what's going to have to happen, Matt, is these 2 bills, the conservative one and the liberal one, are going to have to come together. There's going to have to be a compromise in some kind of bipartisan bill that can work its way through Congress. And we are months, if not years away probably from that happening.
Russ, what's the holdup?
Yeah, so Democrats and Republicans agreeing. That's the holdup.
But what's the difference here? We're not talking about about what would typically be political issues here. We're talking about college kids making money.
Yeah, it's funny because when all this kind of got started, when the NCAA first started to come to D.C. to lobby Congress for a federal bill, which was basically in 2019, I remember some of the first things said by a few lawmakers were, boy, of all the issues, this is the one we can all agree on, right? This is not a partisan topic. This is not a partisan issue. We should be able to, come together and agree on this. We all hate the NCAA. We all rally behind that. And lo and behold, 3 years later, they can't come to an agreement. And here is the crux of it. The conservative side, and they've drafted and filed about 3 or 4 of these bills in the last 3 years, and the Democrats have filed about 3 or 4 of these bills. And the conservative bills are very narrow. They usually just focus on NIL and nothing else. And they're a little more restrictive for athletes. And they some of them grant antitrust protection from the NCAA. So they're a little favorable to the NCAA. The liberal bills are very broad. They include NIL stuff. They include athlete healthcare stuff. They include maybe even revenue sharing, collective bargaining stuff. They transfer policies. It's a very broad, kind of complicated bill that gives athletes usually complete freedom and no antitrust for the NCAA. So that's the issue right there. And I'll tell you, last summer, they came the closest to compromising last May and June when Roger Wicker, Mississippi Senator, and Maria Cantwell, Washington Senator, as well as Richard Blumenthal, they all kind of 3 came together to compromise on a bill, and they traded bills, and they started really with language and all that. And what ended up happening is there was a compromise on the Democrat side to remove some of the revenue sharing stuff from the bill. But the Republicans wouldn't compromise on long-term health care. And that was the real sticking point on why it failed, why the compromise failed, because Democrats wanted some kind of requirement for colleges to pay to cover long-term health care for athletes, postgraduate health care. And Republicans, based on what I've heard, because a lot of smaller programs, right, at the FCS and Group of 5 level can't afford that.
How do you pay for
they
it?
said we can't do that. It can't be in a bill. And then that was the crux of why it failed.
He's on Twitter at Ross Dellenger. So, okay, just a broad timeline on how this proceeds or if it proceeds?
Well, the Tuberville bill is a long way off, right?
Okay.
It's not even a bill yet. They don't even have concepts. They're just getting feedback. I would have guessed by the end of football season, maybe-ish, they'll have some writing in a bill of some sort. And then, the Booker Blumenthal bill is out there, so it'll be reintroduced. So it's there. I think it's the first one of this Congress of this cycle, I believe, to be introduced. And so it's there. So movement can start on it any time. Congress, the Senate at least, is about to go on what they call fall break. They'll be gone most of August, I think some of September. So look, there won't be any real movement on this before the midterm elections, this year. This will be something that if they tackle, it'll be tackled next year, starting in January, February, and probably into the spring.
I told you when I texted that there were several things I want to talk about, but we're kind of running short on time. The other thing of note seems to be that the transfer legislation isn't going to move forward. Can you kind of give us an update there?
Yeah, so two pieces of the transfer legislation. There was one piece, and this is coming from the NCAA Transformation Committee.
The Transformation Committee? There's a transformation committee?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Of course. Yes. It was formed in January, and it was formed to basically streamline the NCAA rule book, make things a little easier, and eventually it'll be they'll tackle the big thing, which is the Division I membership criteria, potentially cutting out D1 members, and everything's trying to get streamlined and smaller. But they tackled the transfer policy first. And there's two kind of, I guess, issues they presented to the NCAA board of directors, and they both were shot down and sent back to them for more work, whatever that means. One of them was making the one-time transfer exception, where a kid, a player can transfer without sitting out a year, one time in their career. Well, they made it anytime, unlimited, which really it is now anyway, but that's one part of the transfer policy. The bigger part probably is transfer windows, where the transfer portal windows, where the portal will close and open, basically. They sent that back down. So I think the portal windows will at some point be passed, probably at the end of this month or end of September. You'll see the transfer portal windows be passed. So it'll be like a 30-day window after football season where football players can enter, and then after spring practice, there'll be another window where football players can enter, and it'll be a different window probably for basketball players. And you have to enter during the window in order to be eligible the next year. So you have to wait to enter the portal, basically.
What times we live in. You got Alabama going through a rebuilding year, playing for the national championship. Hey, who's going to win the national championship? One football question.
Oh, we just picked our predictions for the playoff and then the championship game and the champion. So I think I had Alabama. Shocking. I had Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson as 3 of the 4. I know, real big surprise there. But the 4th,
way to go on a limb
I had
there,
USC.
Bud. Oh, okay.
So I had the Trojans in there. I think I did anyway. I don't remember. But Alabama, I had Alabama and Ohio State playing for the championship, and big surprise, I had Alabama winning. So so bouncing back from that rebuilding year.
Well, look, I mean, it's a long rebuild. We don't wish them any luck in their rebuild. Why do you hate LSU?
Of course, I don't hate the Tigers, but it's going to take a little bit. I think a little bit of time before they're in the playoff mix, so to speak.
Noted. He is noted Nega Tiger Ross Dellenger.
Oh yeah.
I know. Good enough to join us for a few minutes. Thank you, Delly.
Yep, no problem.
All right, we'll see you later. He's on Twitter at Ross Dellenger. Following sort of the business of college football, I am certain Ross will be very excited to be back in the press box covering games in 3 short weeks. Can you believe it? I mean, we've got week 0 coming up in 3 weeks. And NFL tonight, Hall of Fame game is tonight. I'm so fired up to go home and watch this. Some LSU flavor in that game as well. 3 players on each team. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. We're glad to have you aboard with us here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Don't you move.
AFR.
Man, I love telling you about Darren James. so bullish on this guy. Darren, I've had the good fortune to endorse for more than a decade now here on the show. And for as long as Darren will let me, I'll sing his praises on air. Because when you meet with Darren James, when you have one conversation with Darren James, the things that I've told you about him for more than a decade will race to the forefront and become so obvious. He's a relentless worker. He cares deeply and legitimately about his clients. He wants you to have a stress-free home sale or purchase, and he will work tirelessly to make that happen. It's those goals, those directives, why Darren and his team on the Wall Street Journal's list the top 1% of realtors in America. You need to sell your home, you need Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Tigers are on the practice field as we speak. They did move drills indoors today because of the threat of inclement weather. Shocker, it's been raining every day in Baton Rouge this summer. But we will get a practice report for you sometime in hour number 3 when the Tigers are done practicing, just as a heads up. And Brian Kelly did this in spring as well. He requested that there be no videos posted, tweets, practice reports, anything of that matter until after practice. And apparently the explanation that we got was he wouldn't want, if something happened at practice, he wouldn't want a parent or something like that to find out on social media before they had an opportunity to be notified. So I can respect that, certainly. It feels a bit extreme, but can respect that. So we can't just have a practice report as soon as the media availability ends. We have to wait until after practice is completely over until we can do that. So Shea is going to do the honors with us today. We'll have Cobble with us also from Channel 2 throughout fall camp for LSU. Trey Bradford apparently is not on the roster. Wilson Alexander, Brody Miller, others have that Trey Bradford, the running back, not on LSU's roster. So Brian Kelly, no doubt, when he meets with reporters this evening, will be asked about that. So we'll see if we can get an update on the LSU running back, who apparently right now is not with the team. But it's after further review. A little news here from Ian Rappaport as the Saints are moving through training camp. Rappaport tweeted just a bit ago, reunion. Former Saints linebacker Kiko Alonso worked out for the Saints this morning and is expected to sign. He hasn't played since 2019, but is in shape, and the Saints will take a shot given his familiarity. A quick reminder about Kiko Alonso. LSU fans kind of got acquainted with Kiko Alonso because he was at Oregon way back in 2011 when LSU opened up the season against Oregon, and he was a guy that had gotten in a bunch of off-the-field trouble when he was there at Oregon. Ultimately was picked in the second round of the 2013 draft. He was the defensive rookie of the year with Buffalo in 2013 and then had an injury, missed his entire second year. They moved him to Philly, and then he spent 3 seasons in Miami. And then in 2019, signed with the Saints. And was a pretty good player. Played in 13 games for New Orleans in a backup role, made 31 tackles that season, started 4 times. So familiarity with Dennis Allen, with the roster. Obviously in 2019, DeMario Davis was here. And then in 2020, the Saints traded Kiko Alonso. He was injured. So he played in 2019. And then in 2020, he was on the PUP list and didn't come off the PUP list. And the Saints traded Kiko Alonso and I believe a 5th-round pick to San Francisco for Quan Alexander. Now, San Francisco never activated Kiko Alonso. They ultimately cut him, and then he was out of football last year. So he hasn't played in a game since 2019. So it's been a while since Kiko Alonso has been in a competitive situation. This feels like a move for depth because of Pete Werner's injury right now that slowed him in camp. Quan Alexander obviously signed with the Jets, so that's no longer an option. Maybe this is a guy who's got a chance to make the team and provide some depth for you, but that feels like a long shot at this point when you're talking about a guy who hasn't played really in almost 2 full years, and he's 31 years old right now. So it is a guy who, when he was healthy and right, he was a very good player, both at the college and in the pro level. The problem has been both in college and in the NFL for Kiko Alonso staying healthy, which is why he has not been up to this point assigned to a roster. But familiarity with the Saints, familiarity with Dennis Allen, the defense, the roster, the players, the culture, all that stuff makes some sense here. So Kiko Alonso worked out for the Saints. He's expected to sign per Ian Rappaport and see if he can make this team. There was another bit of roster news this week when the Saints added Chris Herndon and they waived tight end Brandon Dillon. So if you remember, the Saints signed Dillon in June. He's played in just 5 career games, had 1 catch for 6 yards. And tight end has been a position we've talked a lot about. And I get it. Everyone mentions Taysom Hill. And I continue to remind you that every time we hear anybody talk about Taysom Hill, if it's Dennis Allen or Mickey Loomis and what his role is going to be, you may call him a tight end. You may list him on the roster as a tight end. He ain't a tight end. They basically describe all of the things. You see if you can find that, please. That cut from Dennis Allen. It was last week when he was talking about before camp. the role Taysom Hill is going to play. He just rattled off, line up at tight end, we'll catch some passes, he'll run the football, he's still going to play special teams, we'll probably line him up at quarterback. He basically described what Taysom Hill is. So you can't think of Taysom Hill only as a quarterback. Only as a tight end. When you look specifically at the tight ends, adding someone like Herndon actually makes a ton of sense, y'all. I am still hoping that Adam Troutman pops off in year 3. But Dylan, who you waived to sign Herndon, Dylan had played in 5 career games. Herndon is has legitimate potential here. Herndon went to Miami and was a 4th-round pick. As a rookie in 2018, he made the Pro Football Writers Association all-rookie team. In 2018, he had 39 catches for 502 yards and 4 scores. As a rookie 4th-round pick, to have 39 catches, y'all, that's a better season than Adam Troutman has had actually in his career. Like, Adam Troutman has 434 career receiving yards. Herndon had a better rookie season than Troutman's had 2 years combined. So he was really good as a rookie, and then in 2019 played in 4 games. In 2019, he was suspended for 4 games, came back, got injured, missed the rest of the season. Then in 2020, he played, was back with the Jets, had a good season, 31 catches for 287 yards. Then he was traded to Minnesota for a 4th-round pick and played, just sparingly because Tyler Conklin emerged last year in Minnesota. And Conklin had an amazing season where he had nearly 60 catches, and Herndon just got caught up on the depth chart behind a player that's really good. So you have a guy that in the 2 seasons when he's been healthy and available, he's been a productive tight end. But he had a season where he missed the whole season due to suspension and injury, and then where he was just buried on the depth chart behind a really good tight end. So when I look at where the Saints' options at tight end right now, again, I'm not counting Taysom Hill. Troutman, listen to the games played for the tight ends. Troutman, 28. Vanette, 77. Herndon, 49. J.P. Holtz, 44. Juwan Johnson, 21. Then you got Lucas Krull, who's the rookie. But you've got, if you include Troutman, Vanette, Herndon, Holtz, and Juwan Johnson, 5 guys battling for this tight end job. I don't know that you're looking at keeping 2, which includes Hill. I think it's Taysom Hill and 2 more, whomever that might be. And the odds-on favorites are probably Troutman and Vanette. But Troutman and Herndon could make sense, or Troutman, Vanette, and Herndon if you want the blocking tight end. You've got guys that have been productive players. And so, again, the best-case scenario for New Orleans is Adam Troutman in year 3 finally hits that springboard. Kind of similar to how we talked about Cesar Ruiz. And this may be something not just with the Saints rookies, but maybe NFL-wide worth watching this year if you're looking at sort of like an underlying story, did the COVID year rookie players, the rookies in 2020, who basically had their whole rookie seasons kind of wiped out because you had no training camp, you had no preseason, you guys were in and out of the building, COVID, it's just, you had these long rules with meetings in person, and it was almost like a wasted year of development, So in many cases, the players who were rookies in 2020 kind of had their first real taste of NFL life last year. So when we look at a guy like Ruiz, should he really be viewed on like a 3rd-year player or as a 2nd-year player? I'd say the same for Troutman. So I'm not saying definitively that's how it's going to go, but I am going to say it'll be interesting to watch those guys to see if maybe in their second full real NFL season, if they start to make that leap. So that's your best case. Troutman becomes a dude. But I love the option of having a guy like Herndon, who's been a really productive tight end in his career, as a backup option down the line. I'm telling you, it's going to be really hard for Juwan Johnson to make this roster. And Maddy Hudak was with us today, and during the camp report, she talked about how Juwan Johnson really popped today. And he's missed a bunch of camp because of injury. I'd be willing to bet that after the Saints signed Chris Herndon, Juwan Johnson realized his job is very much on the line. I mean, nothing's a given, obviously, but if you're looking at a pass-catching tight end, man, you bring in a guy who actually has some skins on the wall in this league, nothing's a given for you. You need to get back out there. So, and then he goes and pops off on a day like this. So that tight end group is one that is one of the more interesting to see how they manage and when that final roster, is set. Because we've talked a lot about how the Saints might look in free agency, might trade for a tight end. I mean, we talked about Kyle Rudolph at times this offseason, ultimately ended up signing with Tampa. But watching how they develop, how many they keep, and if Chris Herndon can sort of find a rebirth in New Orleans is going to be pretty fascinating. So the Saints, they waive Brandon Dillon. They sign Chris Herndon, making moves and certainly improving their depth. Definitely an upgrade as far as a guy trying to make the roster from what they had with Brandon Dillon to Chris Herndon. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. We'll knock out a quick break and come back. And I do want to elaborate a little bit on the news that we just got a bit ago. Trey Bradford not on the LSU roster. Also, we were learning a little more about the LSU-Florida State broadcast, why it's so important for LSU to get off to a quick start this season. We'll talk about that a little bit when we come back. Glad to have you aboard with us here on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Pluckers, where every Thursday is all-you-can-eat boneless buffalo bites. That's right, either location, Nicholson or Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. But to get the all-you-can-eat, you got to dine in. But, hey, look, are you kidding me? You got NFL football. I get it. It's preseason. I get it. It's the Hall of Fame game. You got 6 former LSU Tigers, 3 on the Jags, 3 on the Raiders. You want to get somewhere and watch that game tonight? Actually feel what it's like to watch football again? You can do it at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. The NFL, Pro Football Hall of Fame game is tonight. So get there early, watch the whole game, stay there late, and pay one low price and as many boneless buffalo bites as you can shove into your face all night long. Eat wings, drink beer, watch NFL football on TV tonight. No better place than Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Hey, this is pretty cool news. College Game Day announced that Jess Sims is joining their coverage. If you're not familiar, Jess Sims is a Peloton instructor and also a sports reporter. So she graduated from Trinity College, where she played basketball. She's worked with the WNBA's New York Liberty as the in-arena host and a sideline reporter over the last 2 seasons. She's a Peloton instructor. Candidly, I've never taken one of her classes, but I know the name. And so she's going to make weekly appearances on campus. She'll be with the crew on campus sites where they are on College Game Day, along with, of course, the Bear, Jen Latta, who's going to be there as well. Gene Wojciechowski returns, and then the core crew of Reese, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, Desmond Howard, and David Pollock. So Jess Sims from Peloton is joining up on ESPN's College Game Day, another to the crew. 36 years College Game Day has been, I believe I read that right. This is going to be its 36th year. Yes, 36th season for College Game Day. So we also learned, or at least it's being leaked today, not confirmed yet by ESPN, but being leaked that LSU and Florida State will have Joe Tessitore, Greg McElroy, and Katie George on the call from the Superdome on that Sunday before Labor Day. LSU and Florida State have played 9 times. Tigers are 2-7. The last time they played was in 1991. I actually remember that game. Todd Kinchin scored on the first possession of the game. Tigers actually forced a turnover. They led 10-0, but Florida State was just in its heyday back then, and ultimately stormed back and beat LSU 27-16 in Death Valley. So it'll be that's such an important way to start the season for Brian Kelly. I was really deep diving into the schedule because I did an interview this morning on a radio station in Huntsville. Drew Diarman, Scott Thyssen do a really good job, and they were kind enough to have me on to talk LSU. And we were talking a little bit about the schedule. And at Media Days, if y'all listen to any of our coverage, one of the really gigantic questions and big takeaways from Media Day was that there was just not a consensus on, after Bama, Georgia, who's next. There's just no consensus. And Drew Diarman, one of the hosts, said in the interview that he thinks LSU will end up being the second-place team in the West behind Alabama. And his contention is, look, it's still LSU. LSU's always had talent, and the issue at LSU has been coaching, and there's still a lot of talent on this roster. And in a year where there's a lot of sort of ambiguity and uncertainty around the conference, and doesn't seem to be a clear-cut second-place team behind Bama in the West, LSU, with a really good coach and a talented roster, is as good a pick as any to be that. So it's a compelling argument. By the way, happy Texas A&M Day. It's August the 4th. That's 8-4. So congrats to the Aggies on their day. We wish them well. But I do look at the schedule for LSU, and I think it's just so important that LSU gets off to a good start. And if I look at this schedule and I break it down into 3 4-game sets, you got to start 4-0. You just have to start 4-0. That includes beating Florida State, then you play Southern, of course. You're home against Mississippi State, which you have to win, and then you're home against New Mexico, which of course you'll win. And I look at LSU. They had so much success for so long in season openers. It was almost a given. And it wasn't like they were opening up with layups. I mean, they lost the 0-2 season opener at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg in 2002. And then from 03 through 2015, they didn't lose an opener. Of course, they lost the 2016 opener in Lambeau against Wisconsin. And in that stretch of 13 consecutive season opening wins, it wasn't like you played a bunch of chumps. In 04, you opened up at home against Oregon State and Derek Anderson, who became an NFL quarterback. In 05, the Katrina year, you went to Arizona State, on a weird week, as we all know, everything that was going on post-Katrina. In 07, you opened up with a road game on Thursday night in conference at Mississippi State. And that was a game where they felt like they had something. Remember Sylvester Croom's line? You ever been bear hunting with a stick? Well, now we got a gun. And that was his line before that game. They got blown out. Was it 45-7, 45-0, whatever it was? 09, you went on the road and opened up at Washington. A year later, you opened up in Atlanta against North Carolina. After that, you opened up on the road at Jerry World against number 3 Oregon. I mean, you had TCU in 2013, Wisconsin and Houston in 2014, a game you damn near lost. 2015, remember your opener against McNeese got canceled, so your first game was actually at Mississippi State. I mean, you've had some really tough opening games in that stretch. You won them all. But you're 3-3 in your last 6. You lost to Wisconsin. In 2020, you lost to Mississippi State in the COVID year at home. And last year, you lost at UCLA in the Rose Bowl. It hasn't gone great in these openers. I like LSU in the Florida State game, like we've talked about, a de facto home game for the Tigers. I know Florida State has said they sold out their 30,000 ticket allotment. There's a lot of LSU fans who have said they actually went on the Florida State website to buy their tickets, which makes a ton of sense. Florida State's coming off, back-to-back sub-500 seasons. They haven't had a winning regular season since 2016. So I could get why maybe Florida State fans aren't completely jazzed about this, making the trip. But LSU just has to start fast. You got to beat Florida State, and you got to beat Mississippi State to start 4-0. If you do, then you look at the next quadrant, those next 4 games, and that's where I think your season is kind of made. After those first 4 against Florida State, Southern, Mississippi State, and New Mexico, then you're looking at a 4-game stretch that includes at Auburn, home against Tennessee, at Florida, and home against Ole Miss. That 4-game stretch right there from October 1st, October the 22nd. Paul, pull this up, please. That kind of makes your season. Because if you start 4-0, what you do in those 4 games determines what you're playing for in November. Because if you start 4-0 and then you go 2-2 in that stretch, at Auburn, home against Tennessee, at Florida, and then Ole Miss. If you go 2-2 in that stretch, you're 6-2. Well, you assume a loss to Alabama. Now your ceiling, as I've talked about, is 9-3, but you're going to have to win at Arkansas and win at A&M. The way I kind of look at this is I think the more I look at LSU's schedule, I do think they start 4-0. I think they take care of business against Florida State and at home against Mississippi State. I think they go 2-2 in that next stretch, the at Auburn, home against Tennessee, at Florida, home against Ole Miss, probably win one, lose one, win one, lose one, maybe 1-1 at home, 1-1 on the road. And then I think you're going to lose to Alabama. I think you'll beat UAB, and you probably split the Arkansas and Texas A&M games, and you go 8-4. I mean, I think that's probably how I see it playing out the more I look at it. But, boy, there's just such a case that can be made for having the boom season or the bust season. I just tend to believe Brian Kelly's too good of a coach. The talent's too good to see LSU bottom out. Last year, guys, LSU had 10 players drafted off of last year's team. That team going 6-6 was completely unconscionable. It's why Ed Orgeron's fired. It was way too talented of a football team to be 6-6. So you've still got some talent for sure, and you've got a much better coaching staff. So I don't see the bottoming out like some are predicting. But it's really hard with so mmany questions against that schedule to predict that the 10-win type season, which is why I keep finding myself settling somewhere realistically around 8-4. But that is so predicated on getting off to a good start, beating Florida State and winning that home game against Mississippi State. You got to start 4-0. Because if you don't, then the scenario that some are talking about where, last week we talked about how Vegas has their raw number at 5.5. Like, now you're talking about that making sense if you drop either one of those games against Florida State or Mississippi State in that first month. But Tigers are at it right now on the practice field. When practice ends, our buddy Shea Dixon is going to jump aboard with us, give us a practice report. Should be here in the next 30 minutes or so. We're looking forward to that. We're brought to you by GMFS Mortgage and GMFSmortgage.com. Changing lives since 1999. Home buy, refi, construction loans, GMFSmortgage.com. Remember, you can always do a cash-out refinance. It's easy. Use some of your home's equity to take some cash out and do that home improvement project. Maybe if you're wanting to remodel the kitchen or redo the bathroom or put in new floors, or we tell you about siding or so many great things with relief windows and a lot of our great companies, our great advertisers. GMFS Mortgage can help make it possible. Log on, gmfsmortgage.com, hit the loan officers tab at the top of the page, and find a loan officer near you. Get you started on that process. If it's buying, refinancing, building, GMFS Mortgage can help. GMFSmortgage.com, GMFS Mortgage, changing lives. All right, glad to have you aboard with us here. We will recap the Saints day out at the Saints facility coming up in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll let you hear from Dennis Allen, and we'll let you hear from Tyrann Mathieu in 15 minutes. Tyrann Mathieu did meet with the media today after practice, so we'll let you hear what the Honey Badger had to say about his absence, about being back. That's all coming up in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll knock out a break, come back. Muse Live Tigers and the Pros. Glad you're with us here on a football-heavy Thursday on AFR.
AFR.
If you ever find yourself in need of medical care, Baton Rouge General Hospital can serve you. brgeneral.org, brgeneral.org for a list of all the services, all of the specialties that they have. If it's the Regional Burn Center at the Mid-City location, if it's emergency care at Mid-City, Bluebonnet, or the Ascension Neighborhood Hospital. For all those daily aches and pains and bumps and scrapes and bruises, the walk-in urgent care locations from the Baton Rouge General Hospital are a great option. Baton Rouge General Express Care, 3 locations. Dutchtown near the high school, Highland just through the South Gates, and Nicholson directly across from Tiger Stadium. It's the Baton Rouge General Hospital, brgeneral.org, brgeneral.org. Of course, they've also got the Pennington Cancer Center at the Bluebonnet campus. It's the Baton Rouge General Hospital. Expanding healthcare in the Baton Rouge area, part of the Mayo Clinic Care Network. Learn more online at brgeneral.org.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
A shout out. Remember, you can always text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Shout out to Tyler Viator, to Greg Lehman, who asked if we're going to get the Jordy Collada camp reports up. I don't think so. Tier for a great piece of terrible production that was put together many years ago, but was a part of the show for many years. John Chouette said, what's up with all this 420 music? Well, there's only one person to ask about that. The man who has Tigers in the Pros. It's Musso. 420, get it? Get it?
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
No, actually,
presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Hey, Moose, who was the... we had some friends there at the Oliver Twist last night who were confirming your habits.
They confirmed nothing. That is a falsehood that you're spreading right now.
The guy's name was Matt.
Yeah, I went to high school with Matt.
Yeah, and he confirmed your habits.
He did not.
He said you were a stoner.
No, then that was his girlfriend, Madison.
Yeah. And then Ryan, who I've known for a long time since he was a wee lad. Ryan Kennedy, shout out. Dad Matt Kennedy actually is partly responsible for me doing sports radio. Hired me at the Score 1210 back in May of 2007. And asked me if I wanted to do a 1-hour show, which we called the Fastest Hour. He's responsible, Matt Kennedy. His offspring, Ryan Kennedy, was there. Ryan needs a haircut.
So the NFL returns tonight, the Hall of Fame game. That also means the return of
that was a random stream of consciousness there.
Yes, of NFL LSU. That returns as well. Heavy LSU flavor, as is normally the case. 3 from each side for the Raiders. Keep an eye out for Foster Moreau, of course, Neil Farrell Jr., and also on the defensive side of the ball, Tayshaun Bauer.
Yeah, bro.
If you're looking for Jacksonville Jaguars to follow on the offensive line, you might see Badora Traore. And then Caleb Von Chason as well.
Probably won't see much of him.
No, probably not. Probably not.
And who else? There's 3. Oh,
I had it.
I pulled it up earlier.
Don't tell me. No. I'm going to get this.
We're running out of time
in
the hour.
Defensive guy. Gosh. Arden Key. There it is. Knew I'd get it. Arden Key. All right. Keep an eye out for those guys. On to baseball. Josh Smith last night for the Rangers. Really solid night for Josh Smith. 2 for 3 with a couple singles. Also drew a walk, climbing that average back up. It's at 231. Alex Bregman. No. New father, Alex Bregman, I should say.
Have you seen their baby?
He's adorable. Class of 2040. Get ready. Made his return to the Houston Astros yesterday. First AB back, hit a sac fly, so there's his RBI. Would add 2 hits, both singles, 2 for 3 day, and a run. So stepping away from paternity leave did not slow the hot streak of Alex Bregman.
Old Knox Bregman.
How about Sylvia Fowles?
How about it? Big Sil. Put it on a button. How do you
Maybe. I'm running out of time. She had 12 and 6
You're not
last
time
night.
because you stalled a bunch early.
No.
I can't remember.
She had 12 and 6 in a losing effort for the Lynx. Matt, you remember Savannah Jaquist? She played softball
Absolutely.
at LSU. Yeah, she's the number 2 ranked player in Athletes Unlimited right now. She's going to be a team captain in the next round. She'll draft the team. So shout out to Savannah Jaquist.
That's awesome. Catcher, All-American. So I think she was like a 4-time All-American
She
catcher.
was really
Awesome.
good.
Yeah.
That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com, where Baton Rouge goes to get engaged. For 40 years, you will always get a beautiful diamond that is sure to thrill her, and you'll always get the Lee Michaels experience. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Look for the red box, lmfj.com. Hour number 3 next.
AFR.
Relief Windows is not just windows. Of course, they provide energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, but Relief Windows is also hardy plank and vinyl siding. If you want to transform your home into a beautiful showplace in 2 weeks' time, you can do it with siding from Relief Windows. Vinyl or hardy plank, one of the great benefits at Relief Windows, I tell you all the time, experience, quality, and service. There are no industrial staples. Everything old school, hand-nailed, hammer and nail when Relief Windows comes to install their hardy plank or vinyl siding. Long-lasting, comes finished in the color you want, comes with a great warranty, and financing is available. They have 0% for 12 months. It's Relief Windows. Windows, doors, and siding. Call today for a free estimate. 288-8138 or reliefwindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off new Ford F-150s. We have new 2021 F-150s on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you. Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Two-time Olympic gold medalist Brittany Griner is found guilty in a Russian courtroom of drug possession and smuggling and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Griner has been held since her arrest almost 6 months ago. ESPN's TJ Quinn.
It's hardly great news for Brittany Griner. From all accounts, she's absolutely devastated. But what it does is it lets the case move from the legal world to the diplomatic world.
TJ Quinn on Bart and Hahn. Negotiations are continuing on a possible prisoner swap between the U.S. and Russia that could include Griner. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell names former New Jersey Attorney General Peter Harvey to hear the appeal of Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson's 6-game suspension. The league is hoping for a longer suspension. The NFL preseason kicks off tonight in Canton, Ohio with the Hall of Fame game, the Raiders and Jaguars. Dodgers lefty Clayton Kershaw leaves today's game against the Giants after only 4 innings. No word yet on why. The Dodgers lead the game 4-2 in the 7th.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. And now, a no-frills ad brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Here it is. You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. That's it. See? Just a good old-fashioned, straightforward ad. See if you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Let's ride.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Muse. Ooh. And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. LSU hit the practice field for the first time today. Brian Kelly set to meet with the media here in about 45 minutes. Shea Dixon was at practice. He's going to dial us up here just as soon as he's able. Quick reminder, the way that Brian Kelly set forth rules of practice. The portion of practice that is open, media is allowed to take videos and pictures and notes and all that sort of stuff. But none of it can be shared until after practice is over. His whole reasoning is that he doesn't want anything to put out on social media that a parent, family member may see before, if it's something of consequence, before coaches or players have the opportunity. So I think most media will be respectful of that and quite honestly just happy to have access after so many years with Les Miles of not having access to practice, etc. And Ed Ogeron was very good about that. I've said it often. One of the things that Ed did very early was when he brought on Derek. You know, Derek, having been in this role in media, really had his finger on the pulse. He knew what things that media and former players and fans cared about, and kind of got in Ed's ear and addressed them. Ed opened up practice. He had an open door policy with former players, brought them into the Tiger Walk, a lot of that stuff, and won a lot of public favor as a result. I'm not sure Brian Kelly necessarily cares too much about that. I think what he cares about is the structure in his organization and trying to win, and that's what they're going to try to do here in very short order. Saints, of course, are trying to get back into the playoffs after a very disappointing end to last season, the way that it did, despite all of the injuries and everything we've talked about. Very key offseason acquisitions, namely among them is Tyrann Mathieu. And as we talked about over the last week plus, y'all, I mean, I was, after Saturday, nervous. I can't say that I was sounding alarms, but it was worth being concerned when you see Tyrann Mathieu scrub everything off his social media and be sort of MIA. And it was a gigantic relief yesterday when Tyrann Mathieu was back at practice, and today after practice, Tyrann did meet with the media and seems to be in a pretty good state of mind right now.
To be honest, it's been, fairly supportive. Obviously, from the team perspective, they've been really supportive. Teammates, former teammates, a lot of different people just being supportive. So, obviously, that was a great feeling, to have that support. And I had that grace, really. So I'm sure at some point, I'll be, more transparent, about, the first 6 days of practice. But just more importantly, just happy to be back, around the guys. I'm feeling good. I'm in great spirits, really healthy. So, everything that's important, is going good. So, just in a good place and, just all about, ramping it up and getting back into it.
That sounds so good to hear. It sounds so good to hear. Like, just, by his own admission, look, I'll be transparent at some point, but I'm in a good frame of mind. I'm in a good spot. Team's been supportive, feeling healthy. All of that is great. He did elaborate a little bit more about having the support of the Saints, and the Saints didn't disclose anything, only that they were going to be patient with him and welcome him back whenever he was able.
It's extremely important, I think, a lot of times, especially with, strong people, we kind of just let those people, go through life and, we never really, show that support. We don't consider that. I think, having a team support, having coaching support, it allowed me, I think I'm a strong man, for the most part, but it allowed me to, just embrace that moment, and embrace that support.
As far as why he was away, there's really just only the sort of general natural human curiosity, right? We all kind of want to know. We have this sort of itch to want to know what it was. I don't know that it really matters. I just refreshed Twitter, and 12 seconds ago, Tyrann, this is as I'm sitting here talking about him, 12 seconds ago, he tweeted, "Do not quit on God." You can tell he's a guy who's just been through something lately and is trying to come through it, which is awesome. In the meantime, he's got to get back on the practice field. For a guy that hasn't really missed time, was here for OTAs, was here for minicamp, missing 6 days of practice is a little different for Tyrann. Here's what he said about the ramp up.
It's a little, out of the norm, for me. I'm usually one of those guys that, never really misses practice or anything like that. So it's taking some, mental adjustment because I really want to be out there. But, at the end of the day, it's a long season. And, I think here, we have, really high expectations of, really playing late into the season. So, not necessarily important for me to get out there right now, but to, be where I need to be, when the time is right.
That's the point, and that's the transparency and the candor that matters. You have your desire is to play, and your goal is to play late in the season. It's not important for me to be out there right now, and that is the differences we've talked about a little bit in the last half decade, certainly since the most recent CBA, about probably a decade, really probably the 2011 CBA. The biggest difference in training camp. It's not what it once was in training camp, where it was just this mental and physical grind of two-a-days and guys breaking themselves down physically and mentally to see what they were made of to gear up for a season. It's just not that anymore. It's a 17-game schedule over 18 weeks and 3 preseason games and camp and everything else that goes along with it. It's more about having yourself physically ready. And you heard Tyrann Mathieu say it there. It's not important for him to be out there right now. And it's not. Remember, as far as being a new player, he was here for OTAs and minicamp. Like, all the install and everything, like, he's been around. He knows his teammates. He knows the coaches. He knows the terminology. I don't worry about Tyrann Mathieu. You could drop him in the day before the first game, and other than conditioning, I'm not sure I'd worry about anything with him. One more, though, when he might be back out full-time on the field.
I joked with my coach yesterday. I said, what if I just run out there? Like, who's going to get in trouble? You know what I mean? So we laughed about it. But, those guys are going to take their time. Obviously I'm, still learning the system. I feel like I'm, pretty far along, in the system. So, so like I said, it's all about just getting the body right, getting my feet under me, and not going too fast. Because I think if you go too fast sometimes, bad things can happen. If you can take it slow, you can kind of control the bad things. So that's really where we're at right now with that.
A little more from Dennis Allen coming up in just a second. I want to remind you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New, certified pre-owned, in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. I know I mentioned it often and maybe too much, but the thing that I am so comfortable about driving a Volkswagen is the safety features. And maybe that's just because I'm a dad and a husband, and it's just something that I consider more than how a car looks or performs. But with a Volkswagen, you get all of it. You get the style, the feel, the performance of luxury. You get the great German engineering. I mean, when I tell my Atlas to go, it goes. It's got all the luxury features as well: panoramic sunroof, power everything, digital dash display. You can get custom features like the wheels and everything. But the safety features, I know when I'm driving a Volkswagen, I know whenever I put Drew in his car seat, we're in one of the safest vehicles on the road. You could have that peace of mind as well. South Point Volkswagen is Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. New or certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. That's southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? Dennis Allen again after practice today. Taysom Hill did return. Remember, he'd been out after taking a shot on the ribs. Just not real lengthy here, but on Taysom Hill.
Coach, it's been a week on Taysom Hill. Any update there?
No update. I think we're getting closer, but no real update on that.
Another injury update, but Taysom was working out a little bit on the field today, which was good to see. Another injury update was about Will Lutz, who we all know missed all of last season, has declared himself ready to go. Here was an update on Lutz.
Well, I think he's close. I don't know if he's where he was before the injury or not. That's probably a better question for him to be able to answer. I do think he's kicked the ball well, particularly on field goal attempts. So I like his progression and where he's at. And, look, he's just got to keep doing what he's doing out there.
And one more, we did talk about last hour, if you missed it, about Chris Herndon, the tight end, the free agent who the Saints signed, brought in, and I think adds really important depth at that position as they try to figure out what they're going to do at that spot and have somebody emerge. Here was Dennis Allen on signing Chris Herndon.
Well, I think he's proven in this league that he can play and be a productive player in our league. Felt like, he was a good blocker. Fairly decent athlete. We had him in here for a workout, and felt like that was a position that we could add a body to and add to the competition. And certainly with Taysom not being available, having an extra body in there was something we felt like we needed to have.
All right, Dennis Allen again after practice on Thursdays. The Saints are back at it at Saints training camp. LSU at it for the first time in this fall camp. Shea Dixon was out at the Ponderosa, actually the indoor facility. We'll get a little bit of a thumbnail from Shea when we come back. We're glad to have you aboard with us. A couple of big recruiting announcements as well. Jaden Osbury, Verge's son, who's over at U High, he'll make his announcement tonight. Shelton Sampson on Saturday. A couple of thoughts on that as well as we continue. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Schutz Electric. You know where to find them, cesofla.com, cesofla.com. Home standby generators. Power goes out, your generator comes on automatically, powers the whole house. We're into August now. It is storm season. When a storm comes into the Gulf, we all experienced it last year with Ida. Power goes out, damage is done. What do? Do you go to a hotel? Do you leave town? Do you stay with a relative? Do you just sweat it out in your home? Do you sit in long lines for gas to power the generator or ice to keep all of your perishable goods cold? Don't worry about any of it. Call Schutz Electric. Install an automatic standby generator from Generac. Let Schutz Electric take care of everything. Power goes out, everything in your home runs as if the power never went out. CESofLA.com. It is affordable. Financing is available. Learn more today. CESofLA.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only...
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Our Tigers are still on the practice field, so we'll respect the policy. Shea Dixon's going to join us right now, but we can't do a camp report, a practice report per se until they're done. But there's a lot that I do want to cover with Shea. Shady, what's good, man? Thanks for joining us.
How are you? Yes, we'll play by the rules, but
sure, man.
I think the good thing today is when you're in no pads and you're indoors and you're doing individual drills, not a lot really happens for fans.
That is true.
Hey, look, trust me, we've been to a lot of 30-minute windows over our years, so we get it.
If there was one thing that actually came out today before practice even started, I know that Wilson and Brody and some of the other guys tweeted that Trey Bradford not on the roster. Any surprise there to you with that?
I guess I was surprised not to see him on the roster, but ultimately it's a guy who, remember, he had signed here from Texas, came after a year, had transferred out to Oklahoma, and then came right back, and that kind of caused a delay in his eligibility last year. He only appeared in the game. So I guess I'm surprised by the thought that, he was out there all of spring, so there was certainly a development in the sense of him not being out there to start fall camp and, not being out there on the roster. So that's not by any mistake. And I'll say this and shift the conversation to what I think is the actual topic here, overall moving forward. I was thinking yesterday, and you can correct me and tell me what your opinion might be, but if I had to pick one player on this roster where I said, if I take that player away, they're probably a completely different team, and not for, and for the worse, I would bet it's John Emery, because I already didn't know what, Trey Bradford had played in a game. Noah Cain is transferring, Armani Goodwin's coming off a freshman year, but Corey Kiner had, already transferred out. And you got Josh Williams, who we've seen them lean on a good bit as a former walk-on. But it just seems to me like Emory is in position to be that bell cow back. And look, we've seen Brian Kelly run the ball a good bit across his career, and you would think that as they work in whatever quarterback or quarterbacks they choose to go with, that the run game is going to be pretty integral. So I think my thought, at least, of Emory being the most important becomes kind of maybe strengthened a little bit by the departure of Bradford or him not being on roster today, as you said, those guys mentioned.
I think that is a pretty compelling argument, as important as John Emory, with a ton to gain as well this year. Speaking of gaining, also when we got the roster, the updated roster, heights and weights, Harold Perkins is a guy that I think a lot of people are going to watch anyway, Shea, just when you get a 5-star linebacker and certainly at a position of need. But talking about a big guy there, man, at 220, what was he? How big was he when you were covering him in the recruiting process?
You know, to me, remember, he was not here during the spring.
Right.
So it wasn't like we got to look at him then or anything like that. But he was here over the summer, and I saw him he was out there for summer camps and stuff like that. And I would bet, if I were to bet when he got here, he was probably 210. I mean, that's around what he was playing in, that 205, 210 range in high school. So yeah, when I had seen him at summer camp, I can only imagine he's gotten, bigger across the month of July. And that's when the strength staff and them really have them and, away from the coaches and conditioning and weightlifting and all that. I mean, this is a kid that can play at 225 or, around that range. And him already being 220, I know he carries the 5-star label and all that. But, I mean, even you'll see 5-star receivers or corners. I mean, Tre'Davious White and them, when those guys got here, they were skinny kids. I mean, and it took time to make them look like they do now. Harold Perkins is just showing, up to, across the course of the summer to his freshman season at 220. I think that's a good sign for, how quickly he can catch up in the film room or put it together on the field. I guess we'll see, but he's physically, put himself to be in a spot to be game ready.
Yeah, I just pulled up his recruiting profile, and he was, as a recruit, listed as 6'2", 210. So to have already put on that size is impressive. Shea, T-Bob and I were talking on Scone and T last night that, one of the things that I always look at in camp, which is always so impressionable, is there's always a freshman who, when you walk out there the first day, you hear about these guys. Maybe it's different for you because you cover a lot of these guys recruiting. But when you hear about these guys, throughout the recruiting process, then you see them in a uniform for the first time, you're like, oh, my God, who is that? Patrick Peterson was that guy. Terrence Tolliver was that guy.
Daniil Hunter. Corey
Thompson was one of those guys for me as well, where we went out there the first day and I was like, who's the linebacker playing safety? Is Perkins that guy? Do you suspect anybody else physically will be that impressive?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously just built different than a lot of kids in high school.
Yeah.
I think that's a big reason he put himself in the position to be a 5-star, number 1 overall linebacker type prospect. He was going to show up college ready. And him looking like that over the summer and now they list him at 220. He wasn't here all spring. So, I mean, obviously he's got a good bit of that already in him. I think that some of those guys we saw in the spring, like Quincy Wiggins, when you see him, you're like, that dude does not look like he is about to be a freshman in college. And I think he's young for his age. But, so, I mean, that was when you saw Will Campbell's a guy that you're just like, yeah, he doesn't look like he should still be in high school when he was out there in spring ball. So there's guys like that. I would probably put Perkins up there near the top of the list. But Wiggins right there with him. Quincy Wiggins is up there with him.
By the way, have you seen him? I mean, in the offseason, we heard of Quincy was, I know through spring, but when he got hit by a car in San Antonio, that video that came out, which was just insane, but all things seem okay there?
Oh, yeah, no, I
Crazy.
think he was like, it was, because that happened in January, and then he was back out there all spring. So when did that happen? I thought it was in January.
That was in San Antonio at the
All-Star
All-American
game. Bowl, so that would have been in January. Yeah, he was out there all spring. Yeah, no, I don't think, wildly enough, and I know maybe people who haven't seen the video can't grasp completely what we're talking about, but it was nuts. I mean, it was a super scary situation, and I'm pretty sure he, walked it off and, broke, maybe something in his wrist or something. It was, out of a cast in a month or something like that.
Yeah, just bonkers. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. We were talking about putting on weight. That was such a storyline for Miles Brennan through the early part of his career. Clearly that's beyond. Now it's just a question of, if he can win the starting quarterback job. Shea, we've seen a couple of these quarterback battles in the past. I've said that I believe it. Like, I believe it's a legitimate quarterback battle. I don't think this coaching staff knows who is going to take the first snap of the first game. Where do you stand on that?
I'm completely with you. And I don't think there is any advantage gained. I don't think Kelly and them would be saying, oh, we know who the quarterback is, but we don't want the public or our opponents to know, or, whatever the approach might be, and we're going to keep it quiet, and we're going to divvy up the reps. Like, they would just be giving somebody almost all the reps and getting them ready to run the offense. And our understanding, at least, and we'll hear from Kelly tonight here shortly, but what he has said all offseason, whether it was Rotary clubs or, to the media in the spring or whatever it was, the SEC media days, it was, we're going into fall camp trying to decide who the quarterback is. 3 guys are going to get a shot, and soon into fall camp, we don't know his timetable or maybe his hopeful timetable. They'll start to narrow down the reps and kind of divvy them up not so evenly, and maybe one guy steps forward. But I firmly believe right now that they might have an inclination of a guy who has the lead or something like that, but I don't think they've picked the starting quarterback.
Do you, if I asked you to guesstimate today, if I said, Shea, or you got to go put a wager down, who takes the first snap? You have a guess?
I mean, I would take whatever the best odds were. So that's probably maybe Brennan. I know that.
I don't even know.
That Daniels has the most experience. Nuss is the guy that kind of. Here's my thing: if you've really convinced, I think the bigger question is which maybe you seem to have. Is it a 3? Is this really a 3 quarterback race?
I think so. Do you?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not completely convinced 2 quarterbacks won't play. Not maybe a pure system in that regard, but I don't. I could see. I don't know if it's like a Flynn Perilou type thing, but something along those lines. I guess it just depends on who wins the job.
I completely agree with you, and I don't know that it's consistent enough throughout the year that we only see one guy, but I guess we'll all wait and see in time. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Shea, before you go, there is like some significant recruiting news. Jaden Osbury in 45 minutes or so from right now is set to make his announcement. Did I get that time right? 6:15. It's sometime after 6 p.m. Central Time here. Jaden Osbury is going to make his announcement. It seems like it's going to be Notre Dame. Is that the feeling?
Yeah, I mean, that's where everybody's crystal balls and predictions are in on, and really have been for some time. I think that we've talked about this plenty about, and I think he's kind of the ultimate guy. If you open up the dictionary of when you high guys can kind of go wrong for you, he's been here his entire life on campus. His dad works at the university. He's, if you go to basketball games and all that, you saw Jaden and Austin growing up. I mean, they were at every event hanging out. I think he viewed the recruiting process, and his brother went to Auburn as, hey, this is a chance for us to go out and experience something different. And LSU was going through coaching changes at the time, and I think he kind of liked what he saw early on the trips with Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman. That staff's kind of stuck with it. And, yeah, that's where everybody's predicting him to go.
It is. I know there's sort of this general feeling of the local kids in Louisiana that are getting away, but some of these circumstantially, you understand why it's gone the way that it has. On Saturday, Shelton Sampson is going to make his announcement at Catholic High. Shea, I also get 2 different vibes here. I get some people who seem dead set that he's going to pick the Tigers, and then there's also this feeling that from some close to him that maybe he wants to leave home and not stay in Baton Rouge. What can you tell us about the Shelton Sampson situation?
I think Shelton's done a good job of keeping things kind of to himself. He doesn't. You're around that Catholic program. He doesn't talk a bunch about. He's not all out there in the media. He's not. Kind of caught up in the recruiting process. It was very. I keep to myself. I went through it. I kind of put my team first, and I'm sure that's the Bear mentality, Matt, if he's kind of following along on the team first mentality.
I've heard that.
He's good at it. So I think everybody's kind of in the end like, where is he going? But I think the job LSU's done recruiting him, both through the prior staff and this one, there was no real let up. It's been made clear for a long time that he was such a priority for this recruiting cycle and this team and the program. And I just don't think you can overlook either the reality of just how successful these young guys. I mean, we can skip over the Odells and Jarvises and just say Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. I mean, these guys are dominating the league in the NFL. It just won a national championship, and that was kind of in the prime of when Shelton's in high school and seeing that, and LSU's kind of considered wide receiver U almost in a way with all the different guys they have across the league. So that pitch, I think, is big. And then we've started to see so many dominoes drop in Louisiana of kids starting to get on board. And there was kind of the trending hashtag Shelton stays, and even the team was doing it. So I think he's seen kind of how much a priority LSU's made him. And I don't think any other schools have been able to, is even in a position to be able to match that.
What about one more, Shea? What about Kylan Jackson?
Yeah, he announces on Monday, another local kid that's, there's a bunch of dominoes dropping here for the greater Baton Rouge area, but coming out of Zachary, he'll make his, I don't know what time it is, but it's on Monday. It's on the 8th. And he's got, it's like A&M, LSU, a couple of teams in the mix, but I think everyone is thinking it's LSU, feeling like it's LSU because they've really buckled in across the spring and into the summer and getting him on campus and kind of letting him know where he fits in and certainly that he's a priority. And it seems like him shutting it down before his senior season, he's ready to go with the decision. And there wasn't, A&M flirted around early, but there wasn't ever kind of a feeling that he was deadlocked there and they were doing so much to win, beat out all the other teams in his recruitment. So I think this new LSU staff has certainly done enough to grab his commitment. And again, whether it's the crystal ball or the recruiting machine, whatever predictions you're looking at, kind of are all starting to sit on LSU as we inch closer to his decision happening.
He is Shea Dixon on Twitter at Shea Dixon. All right, Shea. I assume when are we gonna know what is next for you in life?
Before the football season.
Okay, we're getting close, huh?
Not now, yeah, not right now. I still have time to hang out with you on the radio and
I love it.
Lollygag around. So not quite yet, but
I love
eventually.
it. Man. I love it. Hey, thanks so much for a couple of minutes as always, man. We appreciate. You're welcome here anytime, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt.
All right, Shea. That's Shea Dixon on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Y'all give him a follow. Was with 24/7 for a long time. Does an awesome job and did announce that he's leaving. He's left 24/7, but we're waiting on what Shea's next move is. But in the meantime, as long as he's willing to come hang out with us, we're glad to do it. So Brian Kelly set to meet with the media here in about 15 minutes from right now, as soon as LSU practice ends, and we'll get to listen from the head coach, his first day in fall camp at LSU, to see how it went. At which point you'll start to hear practice reports and get some pictures and videos from the first day of workouts there. By the way, they were at the indoor facility, and normally in the past, when the media has been at the indoor facility, been ground level, Brian Kelly has the media in the catwalk. So there, if you've ever been in the indoor facility, there's an elevated sort of catwalk around the field, and that's where the media will be. So some of the video and pictures you see today are going to look different because it's all going to be elevated, just as a heads up. All right, it is after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, I do have a quick thought on Jaden Ausberry. We'll get to that. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, kind of a mini hold in, so to speak. He's not holding out, but he's limiting his work because he wants a new contract. A lot of stuff we got to talk about still, and we'll get some auto locks in about 15 minutes. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Remember, delivery and pickup options are available at Rouse's. Delivery, so if you can't actually get to Rouse's, no worries. Go to the website, rouses.com, or download the Rouse's app, and they'll take care of you. You can select your items and have it delivered to you, or you can get to Rouse's and they'll go do the shopping for you. When you pull up in the designated spot, they'll bring your groceries out to you. Maybe you're heading home right now and you're starting to think about dinner, but you don't really want to cook. No worries. Go to Rouse's. Rouses.com has great recipes and things like that, but they got great prepared foods. The butcher shop, the seafood market, fresh produce, cheese, and charcuterie. If, in fact, you're having a party and you want those party platters, they got you covered at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's tastes like home. It feels like home. They got their hot line where you got lunch and dinner specials every single day. Check them out at Rouse's. Rouses.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
$773,000 views.
So has it slowed down at all? Like, have you seen any kind of decrease? Or,
I don't know.
I
don't want to judge that. Every time I look at it, there's another 10, 20, 40,000. I don't know.
I would think that's steady incline still then.
Yeah, it's just what it is, man. If you missed on Scone and T last night, T-Bob made an off-color joke about fornicating with whiskey and
the age of consent.
The age of consent. Thank you. Well put. I clipped it and put it on TikTok because I do that every week after Scone and T. I do it every day after AFR. I mean, take AFR clips and put it on TikTok and Instagram Reels and Twitter and all the different play. And anyway, this one didn't feel any different than any other moronic thing that T-Bob said that I just stare at him. But this one is going viral. It's approaching 800,000 views. So you can go follow me on TikTok and check it out if you haven't. I can't play it because it's not safe for it's NSFW language. I mean, think whiskey and wine, Scone and Tea if you're familiar. Yeah. But go check it out. It's on my TikTok if you want to follow me at Matt Moscona. Or I put it on my Instagram Reels as well. Same name, at Matt Moscona, if you want to go check it out. Thanks to Shea Dixon, who was just with us a moment ago. I did mention Jaden Ausberry. So Jaden's announcement's at 6:30, so a little less than an hour from right now. He's going to pick Notre Dame, it seems. He's got an LSU hat on the table, but Notre Dame, LSU, Bama, Auburn, Michigan, Florida, Texas A&M. Of course, last year, Austin Ausberry picked Auburn. Now Jaden, the higher-ranked of the two Ausberry brothers, looks like he's going to Notre Dame. It's kind of strange that LSU was never really in the running Verge played at LSU. He's a legacy. The kids grew up around LSU. But, I say this about every prospect. You just do you. Carve your own path in life. Not every kid wants to stay home. A lot of kids want to leave for college. That's okay. From a strictly competitive standpoint, I just don't want them to go to SEC schools. Like, if you're going to leave. Do, the late Joe McKnight. As much as it sucked that he left, he went to Southern Cal. You never saw him. It just didn't matter. What sucks is when Dylan Moses goes to Alabama or Devontae Smith goes to Alabama. That's what sucks. So when you got to see him and play against him. So if Jaden Osbury picks Notre Dame, I wish him all the best, man. But it looks like that's how it's going to go. As far as the linebacker situation for LSU, two things. One, linebacker situation for LSU looks pretty solid. Next year you'll lose Micah Baskerville. You'll likely lose Mike Jones as well. But, man, you'll have likely back Greg Penn, Harold Perkins, Colby Fields, the South Carolina transfer, West Weeks, the Virginia transfer, DeMario Tolan, who signed this year, and then all of the signees in this class. So your linebacker group looks really strong this year and moving forward. The depth is there. The bodies are there. You got to get some experience, and they'll work on that this year. The other sort of tidbit is about U High, how it is strange, and Shea alluded to it, how hit or miss U High has been for LSU. You've gotten guys from U High. You had Garrett Brumfield from U High. You got Nick Brissett. You got Jaquelin Roy from U High. You've gotten guys from U High who've come to LSU and played really well, but you've lost a lot of guys as well. The aforementioned Dylan Moses, of course, Tim Williams, guys like Micaiah Tongue, Austin Osbury last year, likely Jaden Osbury today. There's Jordan Clark, of course. Ryan's son didn't have a committable LSU offer. He went to Arizona State, but it is interesting how you assume because U High is right there literally on the LSU campus that those guys would all go to LSU. It hasn't really worked out that way, but it kind of works in both ways. Some guys grow up around it, they're familiar with it, they love it, they want to be part of LSU, and some guys grow up around it, they're on the campus all the time, and they want something different. So, to each their own. You will never hear me criticize any young person for their decision of where they choose to go to school, because there are lots of things that go into that, and young people make those decisions based on different criteria with themselves personally and family, and it's no different than that you or any of your friend would make a decision to stay or go or whatever they want to do. So would you love for every great talented player to pick LSU? Of course. It's just not the reality. So sign 25 really good ones, build up your roster to a championship level, and wish those guys well in whatever is next. But Jaden Osbury will make his announcement about 45 minutes from now. It sounds like it's going to be Notre Dame. All right, we're brought to you by DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of AFR. DraftKings, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Got Otter Locks coming up here in a few minutes. If you want to place your bets, you can do so on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Remember, right now, up to $1,000 risk-free bet for new customers on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code Baton Rouge, one word together, Baton Rouge. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the promo code Baton Rouge, and get up to $1,000 risk-free on your first bet. I mean, if you don't hit, no worries. They'll give you another shot at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Major League Baseball, you got the Hall of Fame game tonight. You want to bet on some NFL preseason football? You can do it tonight. Futures bets for NFL, college, whatever it is you want to bet, it's there for you at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Same game parlays. The more legs you add, the more money you can win at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Availability varies by parish. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full terms and conditions. Licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-7-STOP. Real quick, tip of the cap to the folks over at Saints Wire. They did a really good job. If you're not familiar, C.J. Gardner-Johnson right now, he's entering his third year, obviously, and he's looking ahead to the end of his 4-year rookie deal and would like a new contract before the end of his 4-year rookie deal. So he's kind of doing not a holdout, but a hold in, where he's practicing, but he's with the team, but he's not doing a lot of team stuff. And it's just a weird situation. And I mean, he wants a new deal, and I don't blame him. My affinity for him. I love Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I want him to be a Saint for the entirety of his career. The guys over at Saints Wire did a good job. They put together, they looked at, in the last several years, you've seen in the summer the Saints push to get some of these deals done. If it were Ramczyk or Michael Thomas or Kamara or Lattimore or Demario Davis, they've tried to not let this stuff linger into the season or do it immediately at the start of free agency. They try to get this stuff done in the summer. Ramczyk's deal was done July 1. Michael Thomas was done July 31st. Kamara, Davis, Lattimore were all done at the beginning of September, like right before the season. So the Saints prefer to get these things done before the season starts. We'll see if they can get it done with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It was interesting, though, because they lined up the top 5 contracts for slot defensive backs who have logged 400-plus snaps last season and are playing on multi-year deals. So they try to look at criteria that would match what C.D. Deuce has done to try to get him, to see what the number may be. And what they landed on was a 3-year, $26 million contract. I don't think that's going to fly. I think you're going to give Chauncey Gardner-Johnson a minimum 4-year deal. So if you reallocate that and you look at what would make him the highest paid slot corner in the NFL, it would be north of $8.5 million, probably closer to $9 million a year over 4 years. So you'd probably be looking at a 4-year, $36 million contract. Somewhere in that range is what I think they'll land on. Remember, the cap is expected to go up with the new media rights deal. So, the NFL you were built in the NFL to cash in on your second contract. His rookie deal, by the way, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is playing on a 4-year, $3.3 million contract. I want to be clear. That's not $3.3 per year. That's the total value of his 4-year contract for a dude playing at that level. But that's what the players collectively bargained, was that they cut out massive rookie deals. They capped rookie deals. And so really the money flows if you get to the second contract. Well, he's there, and you better believe he's going to try to cash in. He'll be 29. If he signs a 4-year deal, he'll be 29 by the time that deal expires. So there's no guarantee you're going to get a second large contract after this one. So if you're C.D. Deuce, you got to maximize your opportunity to get paid on this next contract. So it sounds like that's what he's trying to do. And judging by the Saints and the way that they've handled business in the past, they'll try to get this done and push to get this done before the start of the season. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out our final break of the show. Come back. Otter Locks is next. Don't you move.
AFR.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off new Ford F-150s. We have new 2021 F-150s on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Remember, if you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time today at golf.breck.org. Had a great meeting with the other folks over at Breck today. Doing so much great stuff for our community with all the different parks and facilities. And, of course, the great golf courses around Greater Baton Rouge. Golf.breck.org. Golf.breck.org. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otterlocks.
Otterlocks, presented by Workbox Services. For over 20 years, Baton Rouge's leader on on-site construction, industrial, and residential services.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, James Ott. Otter, how are you?
Good, man. At the track. Bomb just hit 13-1 in the fourth. So a little overcast today. About 71, maybe 72. So let's see, 8 race cars today. Kind of a light day at the track. So, just doing a little homework, checking out the MLB. Just checking my RotoWire lineup. Confirmed. Yordan Alvarez is playing tonight. That's a big deal. You want to check and make sure he's in the lineup every night, and he is. And Justin Verlander's been pretty good. Sub 3 ERA is pretty good, right? It's like when I would tell Hanny. Hanny would go 4-1. Hanny 4-1's really good, really good. Guess what I did this week, Hanny? So anyway. Houston minus.
That could not have been any better.
You hear the trumpet player? No, about to come out the track.
So stupid.
All right, Verlander, sub 2 ERA. That's like 5-0, Hanny. Sub 2 ERA, 1.81 ERA. We had a winner last night. It was kind of a carryover.
Okay.
That rain.
The St. Louis game?
Yeah, game 1, winner, walk-off, bottom of the ninth.
All right.
4-3.
We'll count it. We need all the wins we can get at this point, Otter. We'll count it.
Look, listen, ain't too proud to beg. We don't turn our nose up to winners. All right, here's my best bet tonight.
Okay, all right.
Mets, Braves, okay? Cal Wright did a real good year. Top 10 pick out of Andy, very good. He's only going average about 6 innings pitched. So you look over to Carrasco, for the Mets, and he has been very mediocre. Okay, he's past his prime. All of a sudden, his last 3 starts, zippo, 0 runs, 18 2/3 innings, a scoreless pitching streak. So minus 120 at home with the Mets lineup the way they're pitching. We're going to go with the Mets.
All right.
Minus 120 at home.
All right, that's it for the night. Mets minus 120.
Oh, no. Who we got here, crew? Let me see the difference.
Muse completely missed the 1 minute sounder. We're down to like 20 seconds.
5. The 5 is 4-1 here at Del Mar. Okay. Right.
Right.
7 minutes to post.
All right.
You did 10-minute warning. There you go.
Let's go. Let's go. We don't got time for this bullshit.
We need a dumb button. Did you hang up on him? Why did you hang up on him? Why? That was going to be so good. Why?
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. Why would you hang up on him, Muse?
What else? And I couldn't get the dump in time.
Who cares? We don't even have a dump button anymore. We
Yeah,
haven't
we
had a
do.
dump button here in like 8 years. Not turned on. ShawbillsTire.com. I'm hearing like post horns. I'm hearing we got 7 minutes to post time. I got time. Oh my God. Oh God. I'm sure Martin and the gang over at Shawbills are thrilled. Listen, do me a favor then. And this thing is falling apart. This is just an absolute disaster at the end of the show. Otter wrecked the whole thing. And it was a beautiful disaster, by the way. Go buy tires at Shawbills. They'll show you the best tires at the cheapest price. They'll treat you like family. I love Shawbills. I actually get work done when I go in there. The people are so nice. The facilities are so clean. They do phenomenal work, and they've been around for more than 50 years. ShawbillsTire.com, ShawbillsTire.com, Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hunt, and Hill, the early line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the